Welcome back to Jeff Randall Live. Millions of Britons fell silent at 11 o'clock this morning to mark Armistice Day. There's near universal agreement that it's right to honour our military heroes and help the families of those who died serving their country. But are we doing enough to support those who survived and are now in need? The Poppy Appeal, of course, is the most high-profile and long-standing of the many efforts to raise funds for this cause. The Royal British Legion hopes to raise £36 million from selling poppies this year. Yet the charity spends £1.4 million each week helping veterans and their families. The organisation provides direct support for as many as 100,000 people a year. Well, here with me at the Gherkin is Sue Freeth, the Director of Welfare at the Royal British Legion. Alongside her is the former infantry officer, Hugh Andree. He's the founder of ForceSelect, a recruitment and support service aimed at helping members of the armed forces return to work in civilian life. More than 20,000 servicemen and women attempt the transition back onto Civvy Street each year. Hugh, Sue, nice to see you both. It's 1 year since you were last on the show. You got me thinking, you know, if the Army really did what it says it does, and that is give training and skills to the people it employs, you wouldn't really be needed, would you?
Well, I think we're working at ForceSelect in partnership with the Ministry of Defence and the government, and the last 12 months, all three forces, armed forces and government, have been enormously supportive in developing a partnership so that we're able to find second careers for servicemen and women.
I think the big unanswered question here, perhaps unposed question, is why indeed is all this down to you, a charity? Why doesn't the state look after its people properly?
Well, I think there's obviously a scheme to help people, particularly those who've had a long service career. People who have been in the services for 6 years get a good transition package, and I think the vast majority of those people make a very successful transition. The people who tend to need charitable help are either those that have been injured or those that actually leave before the 6 years, because they're actually the people that don't get that full package. And they're often perhaps the people who probably need it most.
What are the typical problems facing servicemen and women trying to reintegrate into normal everyday work life?
I think what I'd like to say at ForceSelect, we're a recruitment business, and we make that very clear. Our job is to provide a service for the services and educate both the service leaver as to the skills they have, but as importantly, to educate the wider UK businesses as to the amount of talent that is available. And it's really converting military qualifications, military speak, into civilian qualifications.
I'm surprised that that's necessary, because you know, it's often said that the Army imparts discipline, it imparts skills, leadership, courage, all of those things. Why do companies need to be persuaded?
Well, I think one of the key things which I always refer to, if you look back to the 1970s and 80s, you know, a significant amount of chairmen, chief execs, board members had done national service. Yeah. Today, of course, it's far less. And it's really about ForceSelect educating those organisations as to how transferable the skills are, and that we don't just put them into jobs. It's really important that we put them into careers.
Absolutely right. I said there that you spend something like £1.4 million a week, is that right? Well, that's £70 million a year. How is that money spent?
A wide range of ways, but we are helping people transit out. We're helping people who are struggling, perhaps struggling with their housing or their family life while they're serving, helping people find housing, get into housing, helping with people with breaks once they leave if they are long-term unemployed so they can build their skills up, helping elderly veterans who at the end of their careers are really struggling on very low incomes, really in a very wide range of ways. And for people who are leaving, who are looking for work, we established a website some 2 or 3 years ago called Civvy Street, really just to help people find their way to organisations like ForceSelect and to others, because I think one of the things people struggle with when they come out is actually just finding their way around the civilian world. It's not a world they necessarily have been familiar with for a long time, so it's about helping people to help themselves.
One always imagines that the officer class can find jobs pretty easily. They saunter into jobs such as sort of golf club secretaries and high-profile public relations jobs. Charlie Mayfield, of course, the boss of of, well, Waitrose John Lewis is a former army officer. But what about the poor old squaddy at the bottom end? Is it these guys that are really suffering?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who do indeed need looking after. That said, we've already have contracts with UPS, with Sainsbury's, with British Gas, with the AA, and UK companies so far are being extremely positive and seeking out the talent, because of course once upon a time they weren't soldiers or sailors or airmen. So let's invest a little bit more money, retrain them, so that they can have those second careers.
What about all the charities that help ex-service people? I scribbled a few down before we came on. There's yours, of course, the Poppy Appeal. Everybody's heard of that. There's the Army Benevolent Fund. There's Help for Heroes. There's the Royal Naval Benevolent Trust. There's the RAF Benevolent Fund. Wouldn't we be better having one big charity that covers everything and then really enjoy the benefits of economies of scale?
Well, we are working more closely together. I think we've started to do that. There is quite a big job, and there's a big job coming for the service charities in terms of the numbers of people that are going to be leaving, not only the 20,000.
Do you not think that some donors, willing donors, are confused? Where do they put their money? Why should they give to you or Help for Heroes or Benevolent Fund? What is all this stuff?
I think they can be, but I think they tend to choose organisations they feel are best supporting a particular group of people, the tribe, if you like, that they've sprung from. We help all services, all ranks, and for many people that's the way, that's the part they want to contribute to. But we've been working ever closely with the other charities, and that's the way, I think, that for the future.
Sue, Hugh, you both do a great job. Many thanks for coming in. We do appreciate it. Now, if you'd like to watch more of today's coverage of Armistice Day, then press the red button on your handset and you can read tributes to all the soldiers killed in Afghanistan on our interactive website, skynews.com/fallen heroes. You can also leave your own tributes there. That's almost all we've time for this evening, but before I go, here's my number of the day. It's a whopper, £192 billion. That's how much the UK state spends every year on welfare benefits. IDS may not have all the answers, but something has to be done. You've been watching Jeff Randall Live. Join me on Monday when I'll be talking to one of the most important figures in global TV. Next up, all the top stories here on Sky News.